Hey guys, welcome back. It's Maverick here today with the grand finale of Sonny Boy. So I am really looking forward to this. I really do hope that they can end this series on a high note, or at least give it closure, right? Full closure. With that being said though, with what's happening in the last episode, with, Nagara and Mizuho going to space and all that, and seemingly heading towards the end, heading back towards the original world, I do have a feeling that we are going to get full closure from the story, or at the very least in terms of the main characters. Right now, personally, I'm really hoping that Nozomi is still going to appear, maybe a different version of herself or whatnot. Once they get back, and then Nagara and Nozomi can meet again, and then they can continue their relationship going forward into the future. That's what I'm hoping for, right? And if there's any other loose ends, well, I guess we can talk about that at the end of the episode. So let's get right into it. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Okay. Starting with music. Where are they heading? It's to school, I presume. Yep. Opening ceremony. Huh. Oh. Let me mute this real quick. I thought it was just a pure instrumental. Yeah, like I said at the very beginning of the series, the director, Natsume-san, really puts a lot of emphasis on the music that he uses for this particular series. So, are they in high school now, or is this the start of the third year of mid-school? Well, actually, no, wait a minute. This is after summer vacation, right? So, I'm presuming they're still in their third year of mid-school. Because the Japanese, for some reason, start their actual school year in spring. 2 or 3? Huh. Wouldn't that mean it's in the second year? Alright. Oh, and we get to see all the other students. Is this already after he got back? Oh, there's Mizuho. But she doesn't recognize him? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so they got back. And, So that's what I was saying last episode, right? Are we going to get into some sort of your name situation? Right? Kimi no nawa. Yo, this song is actually pretty good. Yeah, he's self-doubting now. Is it all just a dream? Somebody tell me. Let me guess. He's only going to really be, really be himself once again once he meets Nozomi, eh? Hmm? What is he saving money for, though? Like, his entire summer vacation he was working, he's working now. Oh, wait. Is he working to support his mom? His family? I think we saw a little glimpse of that back in one of the episodes. Hmm? What? Okay, so now in the final episode, we finally get to learn a little bit about Nagara. By the way, that bento box he was eating, that was half price, because it's almost, that's something that happens in the convenience stores. It's half price, so when it gets near the expiry time. Being adrift for 2 years. So did he come back and 2 years had already passed, or? Just past the speed of light. I knew it. What did I say? They're going to go like with some sciencey mumbo jumbo again. Are they going to jump into a black hole? I bet they're going to jump into a black hole, aren't they? In fact, is that what they are inside right now? Right. And so this is how they can jump into into different universes, right? Like one back to the original one. Hmm? Asakaze? Yep. Only he would walk like that. I did want to know, like, what, like, again, Aki-sensei, you know, the teacher is definitely my biggest question mark out of all this. So, you coming, Asakaze? I presume so. Oh no? Hmm. And yeah, so I guess that kind of answers, like, the question about their original selves. So, essentially, they're going to be replacing their original selves, in a way. But what I don't get is why there's another compass, though. Like, didn't he already have the compass given to him? Oh, here. Yeah, bending space-time and all that. Trippy. So did Nozomi have two compasses? I don't... No. So he helped him along? Yeah, the guitar here. Oh, and the bass. And the drums as well. Yeah, why is there another compass? That was another subtle reference to a certain theory in quantum mechanics as well. But it's essentially, even though there are, you know, infinite universes, there's still, you know, there's a difference between an infinity that's literally anything versus something that can only happen reasonably. Now I seriously forgot. Why is there two compasses? When was there two compasses? What? Oh, they're back. August 16th? Is there any specific? Oh. Nozomi's... Oh wait, is that Nozomi's death? Or crematorium? Tour? Oh wait, is that... I need to I'm not quite sure if that was a crematorium for the cat, or... Yeah, it's probably for the cat, right? Because she seems to have forgotten her memories of Nozomi right now. Oh, this is sort of like a replay? So does Mizuho actually know or not? I feel like they're purposely leaving things ambiguous. What? So this... So was she just trying... Was she just, you know, like a small quirk of hers to... A prank? Question mark? Can... That you can change your attitude towards the world. This is really intriguing. I guess they're trying to go with a more gray approach to a lot of things. Right. Even though life is hard, life's a struggle and all that. Yeah, still gotta do what you gotta do. But no, I think definitely at the end there is still going to be, yeah, a talk between Nozomi and him. Yeah, and as if on cue. Again, I'm still expecting some sort of your name situation, to be honest. But I guess even if not, a passing glance, that would also be nice. Same night sky. Okay. Oh, a dead bird, I guess? Yep. I guess this is going back to the first episode or whatnot. Damn. This is how they're going to do this? But, you know, they did make a promise that they will be friends going forward. Oh, that was a... Okay, that entire thing was just an intro to Shonen Shoujo? Okay. And a different version as well. Acoustic version. Holy crap. I see, yeah. But I guess during those 2 years that passed, Nozomi actually got together with Asakaze. Spare Sonny Boy loves the Rhapsody. Is that this one? Huh. But you know, like there was, like I said, you know, at the end there is progress, right? His attitude changed. Nagara's attitude changed, right, from what he was before. You know, even though this is not quite the... I guess I can talk more after the end, though. And that is like literally everybody who's worked on. Huh. Okay, then. The end. Wow, what to say of this ending and this anime overall, right? So after rewatching it once again, I think I get the general idea of everything now. So the world that they went to, where Nagara and Nozomi went to, sorry, not Nozomi, Mizuho, where Nagara and Mizuho went to, I guess maybe isn't quite their original world. I think they maybe inserted themselves into another another world within the multiverse, right, where they kind of just replace their current selves, right, their consciousness. And it's a kind of a strange situation. In a sense, you're probably like banishing your own consciousness and whatnot. I'm not going to get into too much of the science of this stuff. I mean, it's just enough to make a little bit of sense, but obviously if you really want to dig deep into it, there are going to be cracks and inconsistencies and whatnot being dug up, so let's not focus on that too much. But basically, this is a world where Nozomi continues to survive on, right? In the original world, I think it's quite clear already that Nozomi, probably had some sort of condition and she died there. Whereas in this world, okay, due to the laws of the multiverse, right, this is a world where Nozomi is still alive and well, except that she's actually together with Asakaze, right? Presumably because, maybe they did not have the meeting, Nagara with Nozomi during mid-school, and Nozomi instead met Asakaze and whatnot, and they hit it off, and so I'm presuming they're dating, right? I think it's quite obvious in the way that they treat each other and whatnot. They are dating, so, tough luck, right? The original Nagara in this world probably did not have any relationship with Nozomi and whatnot. So that's basically what happened here, right? As for Mizuho ignoring Nagara at the beginning, I'm not quite sure like what that was, but then again, Mizuho is always kind of an eccentric girl by herself. I think it's quite clear that she actually knew she actually knew Nagara, right? She had her memories from the very beginning, similar to Nagara as well. But perhaps she's a little bit resentful in a way. Is she resentful, or maybe she's just trying to double check and make sure like everything that's happened here. And I'm really not quite sure like why she went to the crematorium, and I think that was obviously a situation where because when you go to a crematorium and whatnot, afterwards you need to pick up the remaining bones, what's left of it, and put it into like an urn. Especially in the Eastern cultures, we have those urns, and then typically it's put into a sort of tower, in a sense, or either tower or a specific graveyard where they place these kinds of urns. So I'm guessing that maybe Mizuho is not completely satisfied with this world either. So later on, when she finally, because you kind of feel that Nagara and Mizuho also are not, especially considering, right, immediately after that, immediately before the scene where they reunite, we see them, in really quite close friends as well, back in this world, right, the other dimension and whatnot. And yet here it seems that they are clearly moving apart in a sense. They don't really have that same bond, that same tie that they had with each other. So what I'm presuming here is also that once they got back to this world, actually the memories of this world's, the current world's, Nagara and Mizuho probably also merged with their consciousness as well, and so fundamentally they might not they might not be the same either, and they will also have their own separate lives in a sense, right? I don't know. I don't quite think that it makes sense that they would just simply be completely each walk their own path here in this. Just because they got back, and just because they've inherited the memories of the other characters, because or of their original selves in this world, because I think the whole concept of heading towards the drifting towards the other world, drifting towards the other dimension and whatnot, was to allow them to sort of expand their minds a little bit, right? Expand their attitude towards life, their attitude towards the world, and so on and so forth. And clearly we can see that Nagara has kept those lessons to heart, right? At the very end there, he is still in high school only, right? And by the way, I do feel like it's I do still find it kind of weird that a coming of age story is actually talking about them going from mid school to high school and not from high school to graduation. I think it would have made perhaps even more sense if it was high school to graduation, that kind of thing. But whatever, right? And I also, actually, I think it would make a lot more sense there as well, because, then you can really get the idea of them drifting apart, because, I've said this before, right? In Eastern cultures, in Asian cultures, mid-school, high school, relatively the same, right? Especially when there are some, there are some schools in Asian countries where the mid-school and high school is literally the same school, and so you get, like, the entire 6 years of education just there with essentially the same people, right? Where you might change classes and whatnot, but you're essentially still going to be with them for that entire time. I'm I just don't quite get it. Or maybe Nagara is actually going to a different school from the others as well, right? I'm not actually quite sure. But, disregarding all that, I think that the main thing here, right, the main thing that they're talking about here is that, even though they're all the same people and they still have the same, their same personalities and whatnot, maybe they are still going to be, at the end of the day, they might be walking their own separate paths, right? But at least on Nagara's part, I feel he is the main character of the series after all. Even though, he went back to his usual life, he's clearly living quite he's not exactly living a good life. He obviously has some trouble with his parents or whatnot. Maybe they're bedridden, maybe he's completely orphaned or whatnot, and he has to literally work to support himself, and so on and so forth. We can see him living a very frugal life, right? He's working hard, he's eating like half-priced off bento boxes, and so on and so forth. But, he's having a positive attitude on life, and I'm definitely sure that this is different from the Nagara that we've seen in the first episode, who kind of had a much more pessimistic and negative view of life here, right? And the fact that he's content with his decision here also speaks volumes as well. He's okay with this, even with Nozomi, not really recognizing him and whatnot. I guess the interpretation there, and I guess the little bit of hope that we can have in our hearts is that, hey, Nozomi is still the same Nozomi that took an interest to Nagara, right? She still cares about those little birds, and to Nagara's sake as well, he's changed, right? He's not the same guy who's just gonna walk by a bird dying and not do anything about it. He's actually, he actually wants to do something about it as well. And Nozomi is obviously, even though circumstances have changed, she's still the Nozomi, right? She still has the same sort of heart and personality there. So maybe it's implying, and considering the last word that Nagara is saying, maybe he's saying, I think it could be interpreted in a more general sense, and maybe you could argue and twist it to a more specific sense as well, right? In a general sense, lives are only beginning, right? He's literally still in high school, and a common theme in this sort of coming of age stories is that you have a whole life in front of you, and really that's true to real life and anime as well, right? Because anime typically imitates real life, and I've said this many times before as well. If you encounter if you really encounter anything during your high school years, during your student years or whatnot, like, sure, I can totally understand why it might seem like the world to you, why you might seem like life is not worth living, or so on and so forth, but be patient, right? Be patient. Just as Nagara said, what lies ahead is just a little bit longer. You still have a whole life in front of you, so you don't really need to be panicking or depressed or so on and so forth at this point, right? That's the general idea here. And maybe, perhaps in a more specific sense, there is still hope for Nagara and Nozomi to eventually, maybe not get together, but at least become friends, right? Because, hey, Nozomi did ask Nagara to also, she's implied before that, even if they go back to the world or they their memories are forgotten or whatnot, she still feels that she wants to become friends with Nagara, right? And I'm sure Nagara feels the same as well. So potentially there could still be hope. And hey, even if we are going to go the more romantic kind of route, right? All I can say is typically your couples in like mid school, high school, they don't generally last. Okay, I'm sorry to burst anybody's bubble or whatnot, but that's just the truth of life, right? You will gradually grow apart, especially once you graduate from high school and you enter into different universities, colleges, or your respective pursuits on life and whatnot. So anything is still bound to change, right? Be patient. Things could still have like a different turn, and although it is very bittersweet in a lot of ways, right? They didn't go for the your name kind of ending there. Well, I don't know. I'm just thinking if they really did go, because I'm really conflicted at this, right? I love Nozomi's character, and part of me does wish that they could have ended, perhaps not even like your name and whatnot, where they do eventually remember each other and develop there. I would have been fine even if they just had a very very end there where hey, they suddenly maybe just started talking with each other and just end on that, like hi, I'm Nozomi. Do I know you? And he's like, oh yeah, I'm Nagara. I think I know of you. You went to the same mid school as me, and so on and so forth, and just end there, right? To me, that would have been a great ending as well. This one is, I feel like maybe more trying to prove a point in a sense, so I can't really dock it points for that, right? Even though what my heart wants is one thing, but on the other hand, my logic is also telling me that this is actually a very good ending in of its own right as well, and one that is perhaps not as cliche also. So I can't really fault them for making this kind of ending here. And yeah, so that's basically this entire part here. What are some stuff that I feel is still missing? Well, there's definitely still a lot of ambiguous stuff being left here, right? Like, for instance, to me, the biggest problem is still Aki-sensei, right? Like, what exactly is she supposed to represent, right? Is she supposed to represent that maybe teachers don't have the students in their best interests and whatnot, and there are teachers that can lead students astray? Is it like that kind of a concept there? I mean, that's the best guess that I can have, but since we never really explore her character or whatnot, I can't really say anything at this point, right? So, yeah, maybe not, don't know. Also, like, why was there two compasses at the very end there? Like, question mark? Or yeah, I don't know about that either. Maybe I missed something. If any of you guys caught it and want to explain that part to me, feel free to. I don't really get why there were two compasses and one was on Asakaze and one was with Nagara at the very end there. And not to mention that they are not exactly... Oh, I guess the fact that they're all converging in a sense means that that is the spot, right? I'm guessing, but and hey, that's the future. If Nagara is also implying that that's the future Nozomi chose, well, I don't know. Let's not think too hard about that part. The entire going adrift and whatnot. Like, what does the principal mean? What does it mean for him to be the god here? Is it also sort of like allusions to, hey, the principal in your school, right? At that time when you are just a mid schooler or a high schooler, he pretty much can be almost like God, right? Because he has the authority within a school. Maybe they're doing that sort of implication and whatnot. Don't really know. But it is what it is, I guess. I think it's really hard to put into words like how I want to talk about this anime. I feel like maybe this is an anime that you savor a little bit and you sleep on it and you think about it some more, and then you let a week pass and then you can have like some complete thoughts on it. But it definitely gets you thinking. Now, there are some easy stuff to talk about, right? The easy stuff is definitely the animation and the music, right? Especially the music for this episode, fantastic, right? It's a blend of like sort of kind of indie and sort of kind of alternative and whatnot, and I dig it, and especially the very end as well with that sort of acoustic version of Shonen Shoujo, and leading in with this long instrumental into this ending that's not so much like punk angst, that kind of thing, but really emotional in a sense. right? You can hear the emotions in the singing video. What kind of emotions those are, not really sure, but it definitely strikes a chord within you, right? All of it has been fantastic throughout the entire series and whatnot. In this episode, I guess a lot of people would probably be seeing, be talking about that scene where they were running through the different worlds and, trying to find the world that they want to go back to, right? The universe that they want to go back to and whatnot. I mean, it's interesting, but I think everything else, right, like just how it's normally anime and whatnot, even trumps like what was shown there, and it's just a really well put together, really well produced anime. The story wise, I dig the concepts, I dig the characters, I dig a lot of things that they do, right, such as using a lot of more subtle kind of facial expressions or zooming in into particular objects and whatnot in order to convey their point. Is it a little bit pretentious? Is it a little bit is it still also a little bit maybe inconsistent in a way? Maybe, right? I can't really go into it and say, oh yeah, this 100% makes sense and logical and whatnot. But with series like these, you do have to get it some sort of leeway, I feel, because they're obviously trying to do something that is more conceptual, right? So yeah, that's that. Is there any other kind of criticisms I want to take? Well, mostly just in I do wish some of the other endings, sorry, not the ending, other characters, what's actually, what is their problem or so on and so forth, and how do they relate to like something in the real world and whatnot. I do wish they could have touched a little bit more on that. Once again, Aki Sensei probably being the number one culprit here, but I think I'm relatively satisfied just by seeing at least our main cast on screen and interacting with each other. And finally, I guess the criticism I just mentioned before is I still don't get why they need to, they decide to make it like mid-school to high school instead of high school to graduation and to eventually maybe college, university, or people that work. Like think about it, right? Think about it. They're clearly trying to push this narrative that, okay, even though we are still the same, maybe we're walking different paths in life, right? Even though we spent that time together, but we eventually still go on our own paths. We have our own future ahead of us, right? I feel like that really makes much more sense from a high school to graduation perspective. Like, consider this, right? Maybe we have a case where Nagara, because he doesn't have the funds, or he can't fund himself, he can't pay the tuition or whatnot, so he decided after high school to go directly into the workforce, and he's just doing some service industry jobs, right? Whereas perhaps Nozomi and Asakaze continue to go on and to university and whatnot, and maybe that is where they hit it off and started dating each other, that kind of thing. Mizuho, I don't know, like maybe she decides to she comes from I think it's implied that she comes from a relatively well off, well actually it's hard to say there. Like maybe she's off doing something else, right? Maybe she's not pursuing education as well. She has, I don't know, she's working with cats, right? Maybe she's like a cat nurse or something of that, or a cat watcher. I don't know. But basically, not quite the same situation as Nagara either, but also, they're all living their own lives, right? I feel like that would make much more sense from a high school to adulthood kind of perspective, and it ties in nicely with the entire coming of age theme as well, and I feel like it reflects better what happens in real life as well. How often can you continue to maintain relationships with your high school friends, your mid-school friends, etc., right? It's hard. It's actually really hard. Even in Asian countries where we literally, spend 3-6 years of our lives with each other and whatnot, still, once you get into university, once you get into adulthood, that's a completely different beast. It's a completely different story, right? So I feel like it could have worked better maybe in that kind of setting, but yeah, anyways, this is what the director chose. Well, that's that, right? So yeah, I think that pretty much touches on everything I want to say for now. And obviously all the characters and whatnot, they're super interesting. I don't really have like likes or dislikes about about them because they're obviously all trying to sort of gather themselves. They're all young and relatively inexperienced in life and whatnot. They're all just drifting along, trying to find their way in life. Nozomi is obviously my favorite character for many reasons. Her voice, obviously, but her design and her entire personality I just find very, very intriguing. And she's definitely the kind of girl that would get very, very popular, right? I have to say that. But Mizuho is not bad in her own right as well, and Asakaze, even though he is a douche for most of it, if you consider instead that maybe in most of the other worlds he actually did get together with Nozomi and whatnot, but he was responsible for her death in the last episode. I don't know. Anyways, I don't really want to talk too much about the characters because they're all interesting in their own way, and really I don't think this is an anime where you really want to side with or put your. You don't really want to say that this is I love this character or whatnot. I think it's more like trying to convey what if you were in their shoes instead. What if the problems that they're facing, can they relate to problems that you're facing, and so on and so forth, right? So yeah, I really enjoyed this anime. And especially in this season, I'm not really watching many seasonal anime here, but definitely, even if I were, I have a feeling I would probably choose this one as my anime of the season as well. Of the year, though, well, that's going to be hard because there were a lot of really good original anime in this year. But hey, it's definitely up there. So anyways, thank you guys for coming along for the ride, and obviously I have a whole channel doing all other reactions as well, and analysis and discussions and whatnot. For this season, I did cut down a lot on my schedule and whatnot just because busy with work and all that, but I am trying to eventually get back into a more regular schedule as well. So feel free to check out my other works, and if not, well, thanks for coming along, and hopefully I will see you guys again someday, sometime. Just as Nagara said, just beginning, the road ahead, who knows, perhaps we shall see each other once again in the future. Okay, stay safe guys, and bye bye.